1820 turn. Plenty of command as usual, but I forgot to take shots of the maneuver unit allocation, so you'll just have to trust me. People maneuvered. The French draw first. They are going to not charge for a change. Offensive fire costs a casualty for the Prussians. The French lose some units to some retreats, as do the British here at Quatre Bras. More retreats, some artillery chasing off some Prussian cavalry. More Prussian cavalry chased off by artillery. The French have 2 assaults here at Quatre Bras, both in the flank. This unit fails to stand and retreats. The other unit does stand, goes to melee, and they get a 0-1 result, so they end up more or less where they started. Then the Allies draw. And what a surprise, they're going to charge the Dutch-Belgian cavalry. Go after those French units of the 6th Division there. Now the first unit fails to form square, disorders, retreats, and loses 4 increments. Now the fun starts, because I'm going to start making lots of stupid mistakes here that I don't catch. First, this unit fails to form square. Now should they disorder or plus Grand disorder? I think they should just disorder, even though they're next to that good order cavalry. But they certainly can't retreat through that zone of influence. They should have gone to the left there. That was a mistake. Now the French take on that artillery unit, the Dutch, and they should not have had such an easy time of it. Those guns can about face. Possibly could have fired on the cavalry, but I forgot. They fail, and they disorder and destroyed. So a pretty good charge, though it was a little better for the French than it probably should have been. Some opportunity fire takes out a Prussian leader. And we see some casualties across the line during the fire phases, but not much. And the same thing here at Ligny, just lots of sporadic fire, few casualties, no retreats, which is the big thing. We had 1 melee here at Quatre Bras, Hanoverians charged those French, failed to stand and retreat, and yet another mistake. Geez, I have no respect for that Dutch cavalry. They just keep retreating through them when they really should have gone to the right there. With the draw cut or the end of the turn there, they reorganized, but we had reinforcements. The British got a leader back. No artillery fire, the usual bit of regrouping. That brought us to the end of the turn. Final positions here show the French 6th Division trying to pull back, as well as the British 5th Division trying to pull back on the left. The French are steadily moving the guard up, while the Prussians continue to try to shift their defense, putting it on the 2nd Corps. But the 3rd Corps remains too inactive. They're not getting enough done here to give the French any trouble or any thought. The 1840 turn. Pretty full draw cup. We'll see the French trying to pull back at Quatre Bras there on their left, possibly get to charge their 11th Reserve Cavalry, while the British will be trying to pull back on their left. Over at Ligny, we will see the Guard continue to advance, while the Prussians try to shift their defense to the center. And on the far east side, we will see the 3rd Corps try to get into some position to move their artillery across. The French draw first, and here we will have that cavalry division, or brigade really, charge. And the first unit forms square, but they drive their charge home against that unit there. That they didn't form square because they didn't have enough increments. This one tried to stand, hit in the flank, and failed, incurring 1 casualty in pursuit. The melee results in a defender disorder, causing 1 casualty and the retreat. So we'll flip over to the other side of Quatre Bras, and those Lancers will start a charge, even though they're not marked. They're going to go on a long looping trajectory there to avoid the LOS and to hit them in the flank. Those guards fail to stand and retreat, taking 4 pursuit losses, and then their own strange retreat path, merely because they're at the end of the board and I didn't want to destroy them, give them a chance to recover. Opportunity fire hurts the French some there. Casualties kind of light at Quatre Bras, whereas at Ligny we see some losses, some retreats, but that grand battery in the center there put some real hurt on the Prussian guns. The Allies draw next after the French turn ends after reorganization. Some fire phases cause some casualties there. The French lose a leader from some artillery fire. Light casualties in the center there as the Prussian artillery is suppressed. The French heavy cavalry retreats after taking some fire from that square. Reinforcements, we see a leader return for the British over there at Quatre Bras, and the First Corps units first arrive for the French at Ligny. Scurrying around by the leaders, the Grand Battery will have a chance to fire again, inflicting more casualties and disordering and destroying another Prussian battery. Scurrying around by the regroup brings us to the end of turn. That'll be morale level determination. Second Corps at Quatre Bras for the French goes on to morale level 1, mainly due to the 5th and 6th Division casualties. First Corps for the Prussians over Ligny is on level 2. They're really beat up. But worst of all, the British are now on level 2 over Quatre Bras. That's going to make it very hard for them. And the Brunswickers, despite having no leaders, are still only on morale level 1. Final positions here show the French pulling back on their left and advancing a little bit on their right. Pretty strong in the center. See the Guard and the Grand Battery formed in the center there. And finally on the east side of Ligny, we'll see the Third Corps coming up a little bit with their artillery and maybe ready to do some damage. There's been a real reversal of fortune here at Quatre Bras. I don't know how long-lived it'll be, but just looking to the southeast here, see the 3rd Division finally has a leader back, and General Wellington. The 1st Division, the Guards are here, and they have really shattered the French 6th Division. For the most part, the more or less destruction of the 6th Division is what has caused the French to fall to a morale level here for the 2nd Corps. So that'll make it tough for them to continue to defend, and it may make it easier for the Allies to advance down the road and potentially threaten taking Quatre Bras. That's not such an easy thing to do, given the state of the French in the center. The 9th Division here in this ring is very strong. It's taken some casualties, but for the most part, there are going to be a ring of strong battalions here, as well as some guns, to defend the crossroads and likely hold it for the remainder of the game. Oddly enough, the 2nd Dutch-Belgian remnants are now one of the more effective units because they actually have leaders that can command them. The British brigades here of the 5th Division have been almost completely destroyed. They have many routed units and 2 completely eliminated units, and that has triggered a morale level 2 for the British units. That will make it hard for them to counterattack or even hold this area should the French start to maneuver against them. From the French side, it's good and bad. Good, they've done tremendous damage to the British brigades, finally ejecting them from the sunken road here and the environment. But they've taken such losses to the 5th Division that it's really not much of a fighting force anymore. The 9th Division is strong, as said, right here in this area, but the 6th Division has become very, very weak here. Additionally, the light cavalry has more or less spent itself with its charges. It's right now in skirmish order here just to slow down the advance of the British and to try to screen the remnants of the 6th Division. So the French will be hard-pressed to continue to defend here but they're going to be helped a lot just by the presence of the woods. This terrain will make it much easier for them to hold for a long period. That and the fact that they have some heavy cavalry that's still very fresh, and a little bit more heavy cavalry yet to arrive should help them hold these positions. Over at Ligny, things are really fairly static. It's ground down into a long firefight along the lines here, along the villages. The French have kind of met their objectives on this side. They've drawn in Prussian reserves. They have cleared bridges over the streams here, and that has enabled the Guard and much of the artillery to get across. The Guards has established a grand battery right there. That's already started doing pretty serious damage. A couple of casualties and an eliminated battery is going to make it much harder for the Prussians to defend this area. The 3rd Corps here and the 4th Corps just over this way are kind of taking a secondary role now, having played their part. They are now, well, the 4th Corps is spent, but the 3rd Corps is in pretty good position if they still need to fight. But they are turning the game over to the Guard. The Guard is assembling in this area here behind their guns. They will be making their attacks pretty shortly, trying to move the Prussians out. Now for the French, one good thing is that the 1st Corps has begun to arrive here. The 1st Division arrives, or well, this is the 1st Division, yes, but the initial division has arrived along the road on the Prussian flank. It's pretty wide open, that flank, except for the Prussians did relocate some cavalry. The purpose of that cavalry was really to be aggressive and attack around this French flank, but as it turns out, they may end up being there to parry the advance of the French infantry. Now the arrival times will be kind of stagger over the next hour or so, but in short order the French 1st Corps should appear in pretty strongly right along this road. Ligny itself remains completely untouched. The remnants of the 1st Corps are sort of in an arc right through here. The 4th Brigade still is in the town itself. 1st Brigade here, and then the beat up 2nd and 3rd Brigade are trying to form over there behind the cavalry that's holding the area around this stream. They're opposite the depleted 4th Corps and the 4th Corps cavalry over there. That takes us all the way to the far east, which has been disappointing to say the least. Glare isn't quite as bad from this direction, but looking kind of northwest here. The 3rd Corps has barely moved, despite some expenditure of command. They've gotten their artillery up across the stream. Maybe they can get it through here and start making some attacks. A ill-advised effort to flank with cavalry was just met by the French. But still, this cavalry will be of no help parrying the infantry should it make any strong moves. So that's where it stands right now, heading into the 1900 turn. I think we'll see, that'll be about 10 more turns remaining. I think we'll see the French Guard attack and possibly the Prussian 3rd Corps here as the only way to maybe try to roll up this French flank. I've been saying that for hours. It's not easy to do. There is still, as yet, over here, the heavy cavalry that has not been committed at all. So they could either go towards Ligny and the Guard and exploit that, or over here to help defend. And now that the 4th Corps has been sort of relieved of its duties, it could also possibly pivot and help defend here. So it's not going well for the Prussians. Not surprising, that's the history, right? But we will pick up with the 1900 turn next.